Hello everyone, I'm Brazen Eagle. Thank you for joining me here. So if you haven't heard already, New Zealand, under Prime Minister Jacinda Ardern, has begun banning all, as she quotes, military-style semi-automatic weapons. She, along with her opposition party, will ban, according to her, all high-capacity magazines, parts with the ability to convert semi-automatic or any other type of firearm into a military-style semi-automatic weapon. She pretty much wants every single type of firearm banned in the country, which I have received all this information from the New York Times article that I have on screen. There's no way in the world anyone in their right mind would subscribe to the New York Times, though. She will also make it pretty much impossible for anyone to get a license to get a new or even an old firearm. And this is why you do not ever have a woman in charge of a country. Women, and some men, are far too emotional when it comes to dealing with reality. All it took to ban guns in New Zealand was a single event, that of which is abnormal, according to the data that you also have access to from, of course, Wikipedia. The last shooting was in 1997. That was 22 years ago, in which 6 people were killed by a sawed-off shotgun. Of course, 4 others were wounded, but that was 22 years ago. The single attack that occurred in March of 2019 is abnormal. Just because you have an abnormal event transpire in which firearms were used does not mean that firearms were the problem. The true issue of the shooting was the lack of concern for the country and our civilization's demographic future. Firearms were merely a tool in the event. In the shooter's manifesto, and as he was captured, he stated that firearms were merely the best tool to use to generate notoriety, and was going to use explosives as well, even though those failed to detonate. Prime Minister Ardern is not thinking. She claims that banning firearms in a country will improve safety. It may, or it may not. People point to Australia and state that their 1996 gun ban helped reduce crime in the country, but those same people are ignorant of the truth. From the next site we have here, Extranos Alley. He or she, whoever owns this site, has calculated that between 1996 to 2012, the United States assault rate has dropped by 43% compared to Australia's assault rate increase of 150%. Between those same years, the forcible rape rate fell in the US by 36%, while it rose by 22% in Australia. And for the same time span, the United States robbery rates fell by 46%, while in Australia, the robbery rate fell by 12%. Yet during these times, Americans purchased millions of guns every single year. Overall, though, since the 1990s, homicide rates have fallen throughout the Western world, including the United States, regardless of firearm restrictment. However, ultimately, and this is the biggest point, this is all about power. A semi-automatic rifle in the hands of an individual gives that person a level of power and position. A group with semi-automatic rifles is multiplicative of the power of a single individual. A populace must be armed in case of domestic or foreign aggression. The Prime Minister of New Zealand and any supporters of this ban are choosing to strip power from the people who already obey the laws and unfortunately will be the prime victims of criminals. That being said, this will ultimately hurt New Zealand and the greater debate on gun ownership and potential regulation throughout the Western world. Even though Muslims are a small minority within New Zealand currently, They are an ever-increasing demographic throughout the world and will probably prove to be unassimilable like the rest of Western civilization. If the government of New Zealand decided in the future that it wanted to be tyrannical, then who would oppose it? The people are now powerless and subject to whatever the government wants. And that's exactly what the United States founders did not want. So with that in mind, thank you very much for watching. I am Brazen Eagle, and I hope you have a great day.